What's cracking, guys? Omar Isov here with a special guest, none other than Bryce Krawczyk in the house in Toronto, just kind of being amongst the people, and I think that's important today.
Living life, man, living life.
Living our truth.
Yes, exactly.
And here today, you actually have a video, which I'll link in the description, that I thought was fantastic on your channel, and basically the title and the idea behind it is that you're not hardcore. Just because we lift weights, just because you have, what, an 800 what pound deadlift?
860.
860 deadlift, but who's counting? It doesn't mean that you're hardcore.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, like you said, we've got a video on the Calgary Barbell channel that kind of goes over this in some depth, but I think it's a message that often kind of bears repeating. I think there's a sort of a prevailing mentality that if you lift weights, you're a Roman gladiator, you're a warrior. Exactly. And like you're a jungle animal or what else.
Apex predator, bro.
Exactly, and I think that needs to die. I think that for the health, for the progress of powerlifting as trying to legitimize itself as a sport, I think that kind of mentality and that kind of idealism needs to just kind of go the way of the dinosaurs, and we need to get on with ourselves and stop thinking that because I lift more weights than you, I'm like better, or I work harder, or I know how to grind harder, or whatever. You just lift weights. Nobody really cares.
And you gave a great story, which is the absolute truth, that you are a world-class athlete. You go and you set records. You have this monster deadlift. You're one of the top Canadian athletes in the IPF all time in the rankings. But then you go back home, and your family doesn't even know what powerlifting is.
Some of my extended family, and I think like if you walk down the street, and we were just talking to a lady on the train actually, and she asked me how much I bench press, and I'm like, well, my bench press isn't that impressive, but I deadlift really well, and she's like, oh, is that the one where you go
like
up here? And it's, like it's not something that generally outside of the gym and outside of the scope of powerlifting that people think is all that fantastic. Like you tell somebody you deadlift 500 pounds, they might react the same as an 800 pound deadlift.
Sure.
The frame of reference just isn't there. And I think to expect that you should be given some sort of special treatment or some sort of, that you should be idealized in some sense is just not, there's no value in that, I don't think.
And it's not healthy, I think, for the overall sport, as you said, for lifting, where we're supposed to try and build each other up, and I think that's what's so great about your channel, is that you have those form check videos where you try and give back. It's not just about being idolized, and I've actually seen this where some lifters kind of have that air of superiority because they assess humans based on their wilks. Like, oh, what's your will? Like, how strong are you? That's the first judgment of character that they try and, qualify someone as. And I think that's just the total wrong way to go about it. And as you said, it's like just because you choose to go to the gym 4 times a week and lift for 2 hours, so 8 hours out of your week, doesn't make you this hardcore, crazy animal warrior assassin, apex predator.
Exactly. And I think people then take that as almost like an excuse to go and take it out on other people. Like I'm in a meet prep right now, so I treat my girlfriend like shit because I'm angry and I'm cutting weight and raw. And it's like, no, dude, nobody put a gun to your head and said you have to go try and be a world-class powerlifter. It's like if you're having a tough time, that's kind of on you.
And this is voluntary.
Exactly. And those people in your life that are there and help you and like put forth a lot of effort to support you, like it's now your job to be a good brother or son or husband or daughter or wife or whatever. But that's like, it's your own choice. You're putting yourself in this position, so it's on you to still be a good human to people around you while you pursue this, regardless of how hard it is. Because people have sick family members, people have incredibly stressful jobs.
And fighting cancer, like that's hardcore.
Exactly.
Like
that's no less real than your weightlifting journey.
Than lifting against gravity. And I think it's especially poignant that someone like you comes on and talks about this, because I've felt this way, not a condemnation, but we can all be better. And really, we're trying to build each other up. But to have someone that's a world-class athlete, like someone that deadlifts 860 pounds, because someone might see this video where they might feel their ego gets bruised. Like, what do you mean? Like, I can be hardcore if I want. And they might say, like, well, how much you lift, bro? And you're like, well, 860 pounds. But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? I do it for me.
Exactly. And I don't think that makes my opinion any more valid than anybody else. Although, like you said, that's generally the perception, right? Is like, I have more right to speak about this because I've achieved a certain level of strength. And that's another thing that I think, you see people comment on somebody's Instagram, like insert popular powerlifter name brand powerlifter here. And they're like, hey, I think you're squatting a little high. And the lifter's just like, fuck you, you don't know what you're doing.
my life story.
I subtotal, or I squat your entire total, and and it's like, then said lifter goes to his next competition and gets 1 out of 3 on depth.
Yeah, it gets 2 red lights because they're not hitting depth at all. I think some honesty, some transparency, and also recognizing that label when we joke around and say, you know, you're not hardcore. It's also the concept, however, that you should turn this inward, maybe the journey, that maybe some people that try and put on this air about being super hardcore, they're trying to get attention, you know, some sort of external motivation rather than internal motivation from themselves.
Right, and I also think that, like, I really don't want this video to kind of be misconstrued as me or as us trying to be holier than thou, or trying to like talk on our pedestals about, you know, how our attitude is better, or to straw man that whole, you know, sort of like building yourself up to be a little bit more macho kind of thing. I think everybody kind of has their own journey. I just think how you express that outwardly says a lot about you. So I think, you know, when I'm in competition, I very much think those kinds of thoughts in my head to myself. But I think when that kind of attitude overflows and starts taking over your personal life and your relations with people, or relationships with people, sorry, I think that's when it can become an issue and you know, hinder kind of the overall conception of what a powerlifter is.
I think that's super important. As you said, when it permeates everything, and that's why I look as an inspiration. I got to give a shout out again to Jeremy Hamilton. When he set that world record, everyone has a different way of lifting, but when he set that world record, when he went for that squat, it was a number he had never hit before. It wasn't like, let's go, motherfucker. And that could be your way if that's how you do it. He went up to the bar and he just said, yes. And then he got underneath it and smashed the world record.
I love it.
And that's so, it's almost like the idea that when they talk about nature or lines, or they joke about that, it's like, if you really know that you're a hot shit or you're gonna do what you want, you keep it to yourself.
Right, you don't need to like tell everybody how good you are, you go show people.
Exactly. Well, I think, Bryce, you hit the nail on the head. I think this is a topic that, you know, maybe some people think, but needs to be said by someone.
There's some discussion at least.
Yeah, and if you agree, maybe do you agree, disagree, let us know in the comment section below. I would say, Bryce, thank you so much for being on the channel.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for riding the subway with me. Thank you for being a friend.
Absolutely.
Make sure, if you're watching this, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Check out Bryce's channel, Calgary Barbell. I know some people might get butthurt when I say I think he has the best powerlifting channel on YouTube, but I think you do. I think you do. Right now, in this day, in 2018, you're putting out fire content. Check out his channel, subscribe to his channel. If you like this video, if you thought to yourself, that was at least a 5 out of 10, like this damn video, and we'll see all you guys, our rascals, in that next video. Peace. You know what's funny? We're actually, Bryce, totally lined up here to get off right here. Really? Yeah.